How many people remember 5 years ago and what they were doing? 5 years ago, I was a high school student, just in grade 11, and today I'm about to graduate in April. So that just shows you that there's a lot of time that has eloped or elapsed since 5 years ago. So my theme is centered around how us as individuals are able to have an impact on the bigger society, on the bigger global village. Whether we realize it or not, we can make a difference. We just start taking those steps in order to help somebody else and to help out a community and help out the society on a more global level. Smooth jazz rhythms, dancing on eardrums, cool like the bayous played by crescent moonlights, warm rays of sunshine enveloping each soul like open arms of her people, refracted into a kaleidoscope of colors that fill the streets in a Mardi Gras parade, vibrant, pulsating sounds coursing through the streets as the rich culture through her veins like warm bowls of clam chowder. This is New Orleans. New Orleans is located in the southern areas of the United States of America. It has a very rich culture, a culture that is not often talked about so much. The people are friendly, they're warm, they're welcoming, they open up us into their community with opening arms. Now, Hurricane Katrina happened. It happened 5 years ago in a first world country in the United States of America. And this picture right here shows the devastation that happened. A hurricane is a natural disaster that develops in water. It brings a lot of high winds, high water, strong winds, and it has the power to devastate many places. And this is what it did for the city of New Orleans. Now, I don't know if we realize, New Orleans is a city and it's located below sea level. So any sort of damage or destruction is able to happen to them right away because they're below sea level. So the waters came in and they gushed into the city and the waters rose to about 15 feet above the ground. So that's basically as tall as this building. There's water in New Orleans in many different buildings there. So my instructor, as well as some other colleagues of mine, we decided to really go there and assist in whatever way that we could to help to rebuild and restructure a community that had so much power and had so much structure to it at one point in time, and now it was all lost. So this is 5 years later, and what I saw when I went to New Orleans. It was devastating. But before I start talking about what I saw, I'm going to touch on why I decided to go. At first, I was a little bit worried that, this is a new culture, new type of people. I'm not sure whether I'm going to fit in or not. And there are also economic factors that was preventing me from going. But I decided that, you know what? Above all this, these people, they need my help. They need our help to facilitate a rebuilding structure for them, to bring families back together. And I felt that was truly important. And I decided to go. So what I saw there, this is a house that 5 years later has still not been built. People are still homeless. 90% of the population has still not gone back to New Orleans. And this is shocking because we don't realize a lot of the times. We just think, okay, so a hurricane happens, yeah, they get the help, and then things just start evolving all over again. We're so focused on all these other things that we forget. We don't remember New Orleans. We don't remember the damage that happened to this area. So what I saw there, this was after 2 hours of rainfall. The water was up to my knees, 2 hours. This is when we went there in May of 2010. 5 years later, 2 hours of rainfall, and this was a picture, is what we saw. So it's really shocking to realize that, again, in a first world country, this is still happening. When rain starts falling, these people have to leave their houses and go to shelters, just because their houses get flooded on a daily basis. So imagine in the summertime when we get rainfall here in Toronto. If we get on a daily basis, they have to evacuate their houses and seek shelter on higher grounds. So like I was saying before, 90% of the population hasn't been back to New Orleans. And it's quite sad and it's quite shocking. It's not because they don't want to go back. The infrastructure is not there. The social as well as political issues that are happening still prevents them from going back. There are many different people that would love to go back to rebuild their history, rebuild their family, but they can't. Because what? It's just not possible. And it's very shocking. While I was there, we worked and we toiled from day to day. We worked long hours. I got up at 6 in the morning, and we worked throughout the day. We lifted drywall, we painted, we mudded. And my hard work and sweat went into rebuilding houses for these families. And I felt that at the end of the day, it was appreciated so much, even though they were not able to give us these side of in-kind and money in-kind gifts for us. But the way that they showed their appreciation for us, it was truly amazing. It was something that still resonates with me today, just because I know that as an individual, I was making a greater impact on these people, on these families, and on these lives. But then, hey, what happens now? The BP oil spill. Who does it happen to? These same families in New Orleans. And that just created another whole level of devastation for these people. Now they don't have to only worry about getting back to their houses, but now these people who are fishermen, they have to worry about how and where are they going to provide food for their families. Now remember, the BP oil spill went on for at least 2 months with water drenching and pouring into the Gulf by gallons by the second. And now, so all these fishes and all these different livestock, they died. So these families had no way of getting any sort of help, any sort of income into their families. So what myself and my colleagues did is that we went around and we sort of did food drives and collected donations for these families, because we realized that on top of trying to build a new city, there's also another level of devastation that happens. And so they really and truly needed our help. And we collected food and we collected donations and we brought it to these families. And they were so thankful and so grateful for the different things that we were doing for them. And one case in question, this guy, he said to me, "Are you folks Canadian?" And we're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You know what? We really, really, really want to thank Canada, because you know what? Canadians were the first ones to go down there after the hurricane had happened and help to relieve some of the stress and get people out of their homes after Hurricane Katrina." So I have to say a big shout out to Canada. So now we're on our final days of being in New Orleans and helping and assisting in whatever way that we can. And this one particular guy whose house we were working on, he came to us and he was like, "You know, I'm really thankful and I'm really grateful for you being here, for providing the support for us and for our families, for not only just building a house, but for the opportunity to reconnect our families, give us the opportunity to come back to New Orleans," because right at that point in time, he was still living in a shelter 5 years later in a first world country. So this is quite shocking. And he said to me, "If I could pay you, I would, but I just can't do that. But what I can do is offer you one of the best meals ever." And that's exactly what he did. He cooked the best gumbo soup, the best jambalaya, and at the end of the day, we felt enriched and we felt fulfilled that we actually did a good job, because he was able to come in and cook for us and show his appreciation to us as Canadians being there in New Orleans. And I felt that was so amazing. So moving on, I'm going to show you some other pictures. And I keep on stressing the point of 5 years later, this is Mo still in a house that has been abandoned. And these are little kids still asking and searching for our help as Canadians, as other individuals, to assist them in their redevelopment process. Now, all this happens, and we sort of forget about it majority of the time. We forget that Hurricane Katrina happened 5 years ago. We forget that the BP oil spill happened. We're now focusing our attentions on different things. But I want to remind you that we still have to remember, we still have to find what we are as individuals are passionate about and go ahead and assist in whatever way that we can, whether it's just getting donations, whether it's going there, getting your first-hand opinion on what's happening to these individuals, and really helping them to reconnect, to rebuild lives, to rebuild cities, to rebuild our society. Now, I just want to stress the fact that I don't want to take credit for this work that I've done. I feel like it's important for me to tell my story to you so that you can find some way of helping some other family, some other country, some other place that needs your help in whatever way, shape, or form. Because it's important for us to help together as a collective, together, people together, to assist them to build and build a better life and build a better structure. Now, I'm going to be showing a video in about 2 seconds, about 5 seconds, and that basically puts together, summarizes what I did and what my group did in New Orleans. Now, while I'm showing this video, I want you to remember that this is 5 years ago, and this is in a first world country. And these are some of the pictures these are some of the things that I saw there. Again, I need to mention and stress, this is 5 years later, and this is what I saw, and this is in the United States of America. Now, it's important for us to realize that structurally, there's a lot more that needs to be done. I went there because I knew how it would impact myself and impact my community, impact the greater community. I knew that as a woman, as a racialized woman, how we struggle. And I realized how I can connect that to their struggles. So I urge each and every one of us in this room today to really realize how you can connect to the various struggles that are going on in society and play your part in helping to build a community and to build a family. Now, just to recap, in closing, we are individuals. We're living in a society. Oftentimes, we don't realize how privileged we are. We don't realize how much we have to our benefits. It's until something happens, that's when we sort of see and realize that, hey, things are really good with me. Things are nice. But I urge each and every one of you to remember these people in New Orleans. Remember the people in Pakistan. Remember Haiti. Remember the struggles that they're going through. And play your part in assisting and building and helping to reconnect communities, reconnecting families, and reconnecting our society. Thank you.